y'all. Hi,
I
y'all.
guess.
Welcome to class. So today, if you attended our first day of finishing school, we're gonna continue off talking about gear progression, but instead of what Andre was talking about on Tuesday regarding training gear, I'm gonna talk a little more about damage gear. You might be like, what the hell is the difference between training gear and damage gear? Training gear, very specifically, as the name implies, is only for training maps. Those are the gear items with drop, meso, whatever have you. Damage gear, on the other hand, focuses on bossing. So these are the items that have boss attack percentage, even though that applies to both IED. I'm going to explain everything about that in a second. But before we start, I just want to preface that this presentation has a lot of math. I know I'm not a huge fan of kind of like thinking about school while I play a game, but unfortunately Maple is just old. It has a lot of systems and it has a lot of math systems in particular. Very much that, Jeff. So, I mean, like, before we start off, I wanted to kind of get everyone's point of view and perspective on where the math is, how much experience that they have with the math in Maple. I'll kind of give an example. I learned a lot of statistics from this game, just very specifically from doing Star Force. I put all my numbers into the Star Force calculator, and I compare that to how much money I have and how much I can expect to get out of an event, for example. One of my biggest events was last December when I was working on my Corsair. I had recently switched mains, and I had become a Corsair. I was trying to get my Arcanes to 22 star. Did that work out during Shining? No, not really. I went 4 times over odds. It sometimes happens, and it's completely anecdotal, right? Like, I know a lot of people who have gotten their gear done in a quarter of the amount that it costs to the expected cost. So I just kind of wanted to turn it to you guys. You guys have any like experience with that? Any sort of like weird math things where it's like, oh, I hit before I was supposed to, like it took way over odds for me to hit? Anything that you want to share? Feel free to also type in chat. The Seavel Lucky Hat hit 21 instantly. How much was it? Aiden didn't boom any CRAs to 22. That's actually pretty good because the boom chance is pretty high. My first Dami pendant took 99th percentile. Oh my god. 99th percentile to rank from unique to legendary? I'm assuming that's over like 5 bill, right? 200 bill for a 3-line Saren emblem. 220 bill. Yeah, I can imagine. So for reference, the average cost of getting a 3-line Saren, or just an emblem in general, is somewhere in the 40s to 50s. So that is almost 4 times the odds. I know. So that's why I'm kind of going to break everything down today. We have a lot of links to calculators, and we'll obviously be posting this PowerPoint after for everyone to reference. The calculators will do all the math for you. Today I'm just teaching you guys how to do the comparisons between what the calculator says and how much you can expect to save for yourself and or use on an event. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I kind of want to preface is when we talk a lot about how to get stronger, a lot of people talk about WSE and getting their WSE stronger. What the heck is WSE? That stands for Weapon, Secondary, and Emblem. Your weapon, very obviously, is the one that you are currently wearing, dependent on the class, right? And there are different levels of weapons depending on where you are in the game. All of you have encountered Pencilier weapons. These are the first weapons in the game. If you've done CRA, you know about Fafnir weapons. Same thing with Lotus and Damien, Absolab weapons. And then once you start getting to the Arcane River bosses, you get your Arcane weapon, And finally, when you liberate, this is the best weapon in the game, the Genesis weapon, which after you finish your whole liberation quest will be 22 starred. Obviously, this is, you just find whichever point in the game you are. There are roadblocks to getting to the next one, so you obviously know where you are. The secondary, on the other hand, is a little harder to determine. What some people don't know is there is a best in slot secondary. There is a secondary merchant who sells these items in Henny and Leafry, but most of the time that is not the best secondary for your class. For most classes, it is the Princess No secondary from the Princess No boss. You get 15 of those tokens from the fight, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and you can get one of your secondary. But for certain classes, I put the bullet here, but like Mechanic, they use the Evolution Lab secondary. This one is buyable from that same NPC in Henny and Leafry. Please consult your class Discord. We have links to the class Discord if you use !resources to every single class Discord in the game. See very specifically what your class uses and queue your secondary accordingly. And for certain players, they use the RFS. These are for the demon classes very specifically. This is the Rune Force Shield, and it is the best in slot shield for them in terms of damage, not in terms of survivability. We can talk more about that if anyone has any questions about it. But what I do recommend for every single person in this game is getting a second secondary. Getting your first secondary is good and all. You want to roll for whatever lines that you can get, but you want to have 2 secondaries if possible, the only exception being the RFS, so that you have one secondary that is good to wear, and a second one, or a third one, depending on if you roll some strange lines on there, to roll for your optimal lines. And we will talk about those in a second. And finally, your emblem. This is given to you at level 100. There are some people who have the Saren emblem from defeating the Saren boss. That is the best emblem in the game, but for most of the game you will be playing with your class emblem given to you at level 100. If you don't have it yet, please make sure to look through your Discord and find out where you can get it. It's very important to get your damage up through that. Again, consult all your class Discords, and this is actually a link to a calculator that gives you comparison costs. I have a lot of people who come to me and ask, okay, I just got my arcane weapon. I rolled 1 line of attack and 1 line of boss. How good is that in comparison to X, Y, Z? X, Y, Z being other comparisons of their Absolap weapons, whatever have you. I'm going to just preface that this game is very complicated in terms of how you can compare those items. You need to use a calculator. Most class Discords have your optimal WSE loadout. What that means is it tells you exactly how many lines of attack, how many lines of boss, and how many lines of IUD that you should be rolling for. But depending on your stage in the game, sometimes that's not even possible. That is the end game loadout, the loadout you want for your completed gear. Use this calculator to tell you, okay, if I compare, say, 1 line of attack and 1 line of boss versus 1 line of attack, 1 line of boss, 2 lines of attack, how much damage difference is that? Speaking of, let's talk about the WSE lines. These are the 3 possible best in slot lines that you want on your WSE. The first one, attack and magic attack. I'm always on the lookout for this one because these scale the best into endgame. For most classes, like 95% of classes want a total of 9 lines, 3 from your weapon, 3 from your secondary, and 3 from your emblem of attack or magic attack. And as you can see, the sources are only your weapon and your secondary. You do not get this line on your emblem. Oh, nope, that is wrong. You get this from your weapon, secondary, and emblem. Boss damage is the line that you do not get on your emblem. You want to be on the lookout for this as much as possible. For me, I usually try to roll 2 lines of attack on all my WSE if possible. The next one up is IED. This gets a little trickier. Every single boss has a stat called PDR. This is the percent damage reduction. This is essentially how much tankiness the boss has. And each boss in the game has a different level of tankiness. Mid and late game bosses generally have a threshold of about 300% PDR, while late and end game bosses have 380 and above. It gets really nitty gritty how to calculate IED, what IED is technically needed for each of the bosses, but in general, towards end game, once you push towards that point, you really want approximately 97% visual IED. That means the IED that you can see when you hit your stats button. The sources of IED are weapon, secondary, and emblem. My suggestion, if possible, is getting familiars with IED, 30 and 40% familiars from uniques, and or exclusively having an IED line on your emblem. Why this is the case is because, oh, this is wrong. Sorry about that. Why this is the case is because you can get, your emblem can only get attack and IED. Your emblem cannot get boss damage. You want to save these boss damage lines optimally for either your secondary or your weapon, and or your weapon, depending on what your class loadout is. Again, IED wants to optimally be on the emblem, but at the end game, you likely will roll off of that, depending on how many familiars you have, what you have in your hyperstats, whatever have you. And finally, boss damage. This, again, it's a little nitty gritty. It combines with the percentage of damage that you have on your stats, with a lot of diminishing returns after you get to a certain high level of boss damage. It can be pretty easy to get. There are a lot of lines on it, as you guys can see if you've been rolling cubes. You can see 30%, 35%, 40%. Optimally, you want these on your familiars, but they don't really exist. So do your best to put your stats into the calculator and see exactly what loadout you can optimally get. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? I know that was a lot of talk about WSE and attack and ID lines. I want to clarify all that information before we keep going. Feel free to chime in if you want to unmute. Reach says, I sat in Burning Cernium until 275 and did not hit a boss fam. They do not exist. Yeah. It is one of those stats that is truly tricky to balance. We get a lot of sources from events. We get a lot of sources from just the high number of lines that you can get. For example, you get 30 to 40% boss on a legendary piece of equipment, right? Whereas you get 9, 12, or 13% attack. And those are weighted differently depending on your class, depending on how much IED you have, depending on how much boss damage you currently have. It's very hard to tell. IED's power on WSE is also in balance with High Legion. The percentage of IED is on Legion is factored into your visual amount of IED. So what that means is if you have a maxed out Legion board, you get it's 30% or so added into the amount of IED you have. And it is not entirely additive and it's not entirely multiplicative. It's really nitty gritty and we don't have a lot of time for the math, but essentially that does factor in, but it does not mean that you can get rid of IED entirely out of your loadout of WSE or FAMs, depending on your class. For example, I'm a Corsair. My visual IED is somewhere in the 94s at base with maxed out Legion board. I can't really get away from not using an IED FAM, not using some hyperstats, etc., etc. But yeah, with that, if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in chat. Andre and I are kind of monitoring this, and all our juniors are willing to help you if you have any specific questions about WSE, IED, attack, and boss damage. So, I'm going to start talking about math. Just brace yourselves. As you all can see, this is the Brazilian math lady. I still don't know her name, that queen. but we're going to be starting to talk about Star Force. Oh boy. Star Forcing, for anyone who is new to the game, this is the system where you increase the amount of stars on your equipment, which gives you more stats, more attack, more HP, all of that. This is the quote-unquote best way to get stronger in the game. Comparatively, cost, I don't know. It really depends on your luck, but it is technically the best way to get quick damage in this game. So I will say it again, use these calculators. This is the Brendan May GitHub calculator, which allows you to, and we're gonna look at this in a second, to input your stats, or the amount of stars that you want to aim for, the number of trials that you want to try to theoretically tap for, and what your current star force is, and all the other factors, including if there's a 30% event, if there's a 5, 10, 15 event, if there's a shining star force. You can put all those factors in, and it gives you something like this as your final estimate of how much it costs a star force. You might be like, what the hell is average cost? What the hell is median cost? So let's go back to math. If everyone remembers, average or mean is the amount that on average, if they take all of the numbers, all of the costs to Star Force. In this example, I used a level 200 item to get to 22 stars. If I take all of the theoretical times that I tap and how much it finally costed to hit 22 stars, averaged, added all of those numbers together and divided by the number of trials, I get this number, this 45 bill. What this means is, on average, it costs 45 bill to get an item from 0 stars to 22 stars using Star Force. Comparatively, the median, if you remember, is the middle number. This is how much closer, how many more times the most it will cost. I'll say it again, average is the mean, how much it costs cumulatively divided by the number of trials. Median is the most. So, how you want to use these numbers when you compare to your own star forcing, it does not mean that it's always going to cost you 45 bill to hit. You could be an outlier. You could be like me. I said I was almost 4 times the cost to hit, right? So multiply that by 4, it's almost 200. I am an outlier, which means I drag the average number upwards. Whereas somebody could hit within, like the next 3, 4 bill. They would be an outlier the other way. They would drag this number downwards. Median is more of that middle cost. This is the, you can expect to land somewhere in that range cost. However, you can expect doesn't mean it is completely guaranteed. This is the case with any of these calculators. You could always be above or below. Star forcing, normal distribution variance is a weaker description. Huh, interesting. I did not know that. Star forcing is a Markov chain, so it's not a normal distribution, so variance is a weaker descriptor than you expect. Interesting. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions or any extra input about mean versus median? Because we are going to talk about this a little more with cubing and flaming, but conceptually it is pretty much the exact same thing. All that is to say, if you are star forcing, realistically you want to save more than both of these average and median costs if possible. Do not always expect to hit within this 45 bill in this example. Do not save exactly 45 bill. Try to save a little more, to give yourself a little more breathing room in the off chance that you do hit higher if you are outside of either of these ranges. And as you guys can see, this bottom number actually shows the range of costs. So at the bottom, 2 billion is the lowest amount. This is on a single trial, somebody hit at 2 billion. Whereas somebody hit, what, almost 10 times the average cost at 418 bill. So you can see the huge variance right there. All that is to say, save a lot of money. Do not entirely rely on these numbers, but use these calculators to estimate how much you can expect to generally spend. There are good breakpoints for star forcing. If you all know, what I mean by breakpoints is a lot of people recommend stopping at 12 stars when you first start the game. It is always the case later on as well. The first few breakpoints are 17 stars. That gives you a nice amount of attack, and you can use this during 5, 10, 15 because the 16th star is free, and you just star force one more time to get to 17 using safeguard, and that's where safeguard ends. So the next breakpoint, because you have the potential of booming after 17 stars, is 19 stars. Some people stop at 19. A lot of people don't even recommend stopping at 19 and push straight for 21s and 22s. These realistically are the numbers that you will stop at for your endgame gear. It is marginally cheaper to stop at 21 versus 22, but it really depends on the player. Do you care that much about getting endgame damage? If not, go to 21s. If not, if you do care, go to 22s. And the other important thing is knowing how to tap properly. What I mean by that is some people will always push their items straight to 22s. For example, just one piece of CRA straight to 22, the next piece of CRA straight to 22. That is a viable option, but it does not give you the best amount of damage for your cost or for the amount of booms that you can get. What I recommend doing is a technique called rouletting. For example, I have 3 pieces of CRA that I will push to 19s at first, just to get a little bit of damage, and then I will push the hat to 21 first, the top to 21 second, and then the bottom to 21 third. And then after that, I will go for 22s on the hat, top, and bottom. So in the chance that one of those items booms, I still have the damage from the other 2 items. Yes, and it is a very recommended technique when you get to your arcanes. Please do that. If you want any extra explanation or an example, I can show you after this. And just a reminder for everyone, Otters and Softy has an enhancement altar. This is the room that you can use to get the star catching bonus, which is a 5% multiplicative bonus. Does it exist? Who knows? But we like to tap in here. You can use this anvil in the middle to actually show off how many stars your item is currently at. So it is not necessary to use the anvil to actually get the Star Force bonus, but we do want to see you guys tap. So please use it. Okay, I'm going to try to speed up. Now that we've explained the difference between median and mean, cubing also has the exact same calculator. Different link, obviously, but comparatively, if you see the average and the median costs, you know what to do and save more than the amount that is listed. So that if you don't hit, you have a little over to try to hit. There are actually 2 cube types, and a lot of people ask me, like, what cubes should I be using? I tell everyone until you are shooting for double or triple primes, drop and meso lines, and or crit damage lines, always use glowing cubes. These are the blue cubes, formerly known as the red cubes. These are the blue cubes. These do not allow you to select a new potential, but they're really good for just generally rolling and getting lines. They are marginally cheaper than using the bright cubes. Pink cubes, love pink cubes. These pink cubes are used for prime lines, or if you have a really good potential and you don't want to roll off of it, you should consult one of us. Obviously, do not spend the extra money on these pink cubes, but getting double or triple prime, getting drop and meso lines, like Andre said, and crit damage lines. These lines are only on gloves. These are very important to roll once you get your Absolab and Arcane gloves, because these are equivalent to approximately 40%. It obviously tapers off a lot, but approximately 30 to 40% for most classes of their main stat. So get your crit damage lines through these pink cubes, but otherwise, if you are currently rolling for stuff, use your glowing cubes. Flaming is a very, very underrated way of getting your gear a lot stronger. These are the extra stats that are shown on the side. These are in green in the game. And they can be a little confusing at first. What a lot of people talk about is flame score. What this essentially translates to is how much each flat number of stats, whether it's your main stat, attack, or percent all stat on your flame, translates to a certain number. And literally, I hate doing the mental math, so I just plug it all in the calculator. It's all here. And we have an additional link for the calculator if you check in exclamation resources. But every stage of the game has a good flame score for you to land at. These are the settled flames. You realistically, these don't have the flame score numbers on this chart, but this is a good comparison just to see the all stat percent at the flat stat percent. You just take a flame, whether it's the red flame, the eternal flame, or if you have black flames, you chuck it on a weapon or chuck it on a piece of equipment and see what lands. There's no kind of its buts about it. You just throw it and hopefully expect to land somewhere within the costs given in this calculator. For reference, this calculator only shows red flames. If I no, it does. It shows rainbows, but I think those are not shown in terms of cost. But the red flames are buyable through the NPC. So what I do is I just buy a ton of red flames, maybe like 20 to 30 at a time, chuck them on a piece of equipment, see what lands, and stop once I know that, okay, I've gotten to a point, for example, in mid-game, that I can stop this flame scoring. These black flames, very specifically, come from events, and they're very good because you can use them to roll over a flame that you currently have and or select a new flame. These are equivalent to the bright cubes. And what a lot of endgame players use is, because their flames are already pretty much done, they'll use these black flames to roll over one of their pieces of equipment to get a slightly better flame. Just a little bit of min-maxing. So there's a bit of conversation about the KMS flame scandal in VC text. A lot of players have gotten a huge advantage a few years ago because they used flames and Nexon apparently released incorrect, or like lied to the players and told them these are the rates when it wasn't the case. They were compensated with a crap ton of flames, so they just got to fix up their gear almost immediately compared to a lot of us who started a little later. So it's annoying, but flames, you know, are a bit of, it's a very good way to get damage, but it is not like, it's not end all. It's a lot of min-maxing. Okay. And finally, I'm just going to talk really fast about other ways to get really strong really quickly. If you guys don't know about equipment sets, you've probably encountered the boss accessory set. This includes horntail earrings, dom pendant, black bead mark. These are very good to start early game, and a lot of these items will never be replaced until you get pitch items. Really good to get damage. For those of you who are starting C10 though, there's the Dawn boss set. These come from the C10 bosses and Saren. These give 10% boss at 2 set. So very important to get at least 2 of them, usually the Slime Ring and the Twilight Mark. The Superior Golok set, as I found out because I am 7 set pitched with Blackheart, I do not replace my Goloks until 9 set. What that means is this piece of equipment, all 4 of these pieces of equipment are very, very strong compared to the rest of the game's equipment. Some of these items are better than some of the pitched items until you get to a certain amount of set accessory. So make sure that you are working on your Goloks every single day. And finally, the pitch boss set, as you all know, these don't exist. Endgame gear. Not really much to say about it. If you hit it, great job. If you don't, you're kind of stuck in the waiting room like the rest of us. In terms of armor, as you all know, the Root Abyss set actually doesn't get replaced until Eternal set. So these are the best in slot hat, top and bottom. The Absolab set does get replaced, but it is a good stopping point for a lot of people, especially for boss mules. The Arcane Umbra set, which I figured a lot of y'all are working on, these are the best gloves, cape, shoulder, and shoes until Limbo releases, and we get the rest of the Eternal set. And finally, the Internal set. This is the endgame one that you get pieces from Kalos and Kaling, and later Limbo for hat, top, bottom currently, and then in the future, all of the arcane pieces will be replaced with these as well. And finally, just a little bit of tidbit of knowledge. I know a lot of people don't know about this, but lucky items also exist in the game. These, the most common lucky item is the Genesis weapon. This means that if you have a Genesis weapon and two other, is it 2 or 3? 3? Am I lying? Andre, it's 2, right? For lucky items? Either 2 or 3.
Appreciate. Good addition.
Yeah, 2. If you have 2 items of another set, for example, if I have you should have all 3 items of the CRA set equipped, plus the Genesis weapon. The Genesis weapon will account for the 4th set effect, which means you get the 30% boss damage from the CRA set. I'll say it again. This counts for the 4th set of the CRA bonus. So the second you get your Genesis weapon, not only do you get the 10% final damage from your Genesis weapon, but if you have all 3 items of the Root Abyss set equipped, which you should, you will also get the 30% boss damage accounted for because this will replace one of the items in the set, the weapon. Yeah. Another item, which is kind of finicky, and Reach can kind of talk about this too, like Zeros use a CRA hat just because their loadout is very different. Zeros are always upgrading their weapons to different set effects all the way up until endgame. And finally, for those of you who don't know, because it's very difficult to get these, is the Mugong and Expert Gloves. These are also lucky items which fill the any of these sets. But it's a lot. It's too fucking much. So, the last thing I want to talk about is the Oz rings. A lot of you have probably seen a ring box in your lifetime of playing Maple, but these are the 3 most important, arguably the most important rings in the game. Usually these 2, the Ring of Restraint and Weapon Jump, are the ones for your burst, no matter what type of class you are. There are very few exceptions where Continuous Ring is used to calculate burst damage and party damage, but for the most part you'll hear, okay, what's your ring? Oh, what's your burst on Boar? What's your burst on Weapon Jump? The Ring of Restraint is a 15-second ring that gives you this little aura. If you stand inside the aura, you only can get the damage effect inside this aura, by the way. At level 4, you get 100% attack and magic attack. That's a lot of damage. But only for 15 seconds with a 3-minute cooldown. Same thing with the Weapon Jump ring. This is another 15-second ring that increases your main stat by 400% of attack or magic attack. This ring is not always the best for classes. It is very good in Reg server, where they can get a lot of scrolls to increase their attack. But in Reboot, this ring is almost only good as a main burst ring for mage classes because their weapons, their wands and staves, have a lot of magic attack in comparison to, say, like a Buccaneer or a Corsair or a Mechanic who has, or a Night Lord who has some of the lowest attack, base attack on their weapons, which means their flames are lower, their comparative Star Force attack is lower than the staves or the wands. But it is still a very good ring no matter what. And the Continuous Ring, you wear it for about 2 minutes, you wear it for 120 seconds, and then it will automatically start an effect where every 8 seconds you get 140% boss and 10% attack and magic attack. with a 12-second cooldown. So the only times, those 4 seconds that it's off, you don't get any of this effect. But the entire other time you get all of that 100%, 140% boss and 10% attack and magic attack. That's pretty much it. That is the best way to increase your damage. Use Star Force, use Cubing, use Flames, use your equipment sets, and pray that you hit a ring box with one of these rings. Does anyone have any sort of questions before we move on to our bossing today? Feel free to type it in VC text. I see a lot of conversations happening. Is there a standard in MapleStory for the mechanic of snapshotting? Like if I put a ring at the start of a long cast and the effect ends mid-cast, does it persist? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. There are ways to optimize, and we're going to talk about this in a later section, how to burst properly. So what that means is, from last lesson, bursting is like for classes who, all classes have a burst, but this is the consolidated amount of damage that you can do in a certain time frame. If you put your, for example, your 15 seconds of roar as the last skill that you click during your burst, I will do my 60-second buffs. I'll do my 40-second buffs, 30-second buffs, 20-second buffs. Then my 15-second and 10-second buffs, including AB Link and roar at the very end, and then hit all my attacks after that. That is the best way to optimize the amount of damage that I do within that time frame of roar. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know anything about the Final Fantasy 15 snapshotting, so I can't really give you an answer. But that's kind of what we have. Also nitty-gritty things with like extending your fatal timing, but other than that, not really. But yeah, if you guys ever hit any of your pieces of equipment, feel free to share it in Gains and Pains with us. We want to see what you guys hit. So we have a picture of Nick hitting Sauce here, and we have a party that just cleared Saren recently. So we want to see all that. This also goes for Alliance friends. The Gains and Pains channel is open for y'all too. So if y'all want to ever post, feel free to. Okay, that's it for me. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions in between Andre chatting, and I can answer them. And I will turn it over to Andre for Will.
Hello, can you hear me? How is my mic?
Beautiful.
You sound good.
Hey, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. Here. Sure. Okay, can you all see my presentation? Hello. Can someone confirm to me, please? Oh, okay, thank you.
Looks good.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Will, one of the most feared bosses by new players. So for an introduction, Will is... remember to assign your roles in the role channel so you can get pings from specific bosses. So you can form parties, catch carries, and stuff like that. So let's start with Miss Daddy Longlegs. We are not talking about Miss Naomi's Mouse, we're talking about Will. So first things first. The fight overall, it's a milestone for MapleStory because it's the first time we are going to be introduced to party tests. So on Tuesday we had the slime tests, which are a part of the fight. But the tests there, are not party tests. Party tests are tests you can, if you come from other games like Final Fantasy or Lost Ark or something, they are the same thing as mechanics. It's a gimmick you have to play in order to continue the fight. So if you failed your part of the gimmick, your party cannot continue to kill the boss. So you have to play, you have to do it right, otherwise you can kill the boss. So it's a lot of pressure for new players to play Will for the first time, because if you don't do it right, you can actually clear the boss. So the second one is that for the first time we are going to have a healing lock. So you can't use potions for the part of the fight, and we're going to talk about familiars and how to overcome these in the GMS. But it's our first introduction to healing locks. Also, first introduction to gauges, which are special bars that are going to play a major role in this fight. Also, they are going to become recurrent on next bosses. And basically, this gauge in Will is a special skill you get. This is the icon right here. It's going to appear on your screen when you are playing Fighting Will. It's a special skill that you can activate using your interaction button. So for me, it's my Alt key. So whenever I press Alt, it's going to consume a part of this yellow bar here and use the special skill. Each part of Will of the fight is gauge does something different, and each boss is going to have its own gimmick. So you can expect different types of mechanics and other stuff we're going to talk about next week and then afterwards. So with this in mind, let's continue. We are going to talk about mislikes right here. So what do you need to clear Will? First, make sure you can clear Lucid on the same difficulty. So it's a good comparison, because if your party can clear hard Lucid, then you are ready for hard Will, bar the mechanics knowledge. Also, you need 760 Arcane Force, and if you have healing familiars, they are going to be very helpful. And actually, some people require them to clear one of the phases of this fight, but it's not required. In KMS, they have to clear this fight without healing femmes. So it's doable, but it's helpful to have the healing femmes. I'm going to show some healing femmes later. So, okay, Will is divided into 3 phases. So each phase is going to play completely different from the previous one, but there are some mechanics that are going to be recurrent. Let's talk about phase 1 first. So the first thing when you enter for the phase 1 is that you will notice that Will has 3 HP bars shown right here. This means that Will is going to split himself into 2 copies of himself and place each copy in a different room. So we have the blue room and the purple room. If you are in the blue room, this bar here is going to turn blue. It indicates the HP of the Will on this room. Also the same for purple. So depending on the room, you are going to damage a different one. This bar right here, the red one, is the total HP. So if you damage enough of blue and purple, you're going to damage red. Your goal is to deplete the red bar so you can move to the next phase. But it's not going to be that easy, because the wheels are going to cause a lot of trouble in the meantime. So here, when you press your gauge button in this phase, you are going to switch rooms. If you are currently in the blue room, if you press your gauge, you're going to go to the purple room, and vice versa. So you have to keep switching rooms in order to play the mechanics, and this is the main gimmick of the phase 1. So why do we have to switch rooms? Because of this. First, here you are going to notice his HP bar has certain locks. So we have 3 locks. The first one, the second, and the third at the end of his HP. Each of these locks are going to prevent Will from taking damage from any source, except when you clear the test he's going to put you through. So whenever you get to this HP bar, a test is going to start, and then you have to play the gimmick, and then this bar is going to unlock. But what is this test? Let's talk about the test before we talk about his normal attacks, because it's the most confusing part of the fight. So the test consists of you have to find this I right here. There are two variations of this test. The first one is the HP test, and then the time test. They both use the same mechanics, but they happen at different triggers. So what happens? Whenever you hit your HP bar threshold here, the white line, this eye right here is going to appear in one of these rooms. This eye indicates that this room, which in the eye is appearing, is a safe spot. After some time of flashbang alert, here, oh, sorry. Let's assume that the eye appears on the blue side, and then we don't see the eye on the purple side. After some time, this animation, this FMA attack is going to play, flashbang alert. Oh, sorry, here. Yeah, this animation is going to play, and then everyone that gets hit by this attack is going to die immediately. So, since the room with the eye is a safe spot, only the other room is going to get hit by the FMA attack. So if you are in the purple room, in the blue room, and you see the eye, you stay. And if you are in the purple room when the test starts, you don't see the eye, use your gauge and switch to the safe room, so you avoid the FMA. So this is the basic mechanics how to avoid this gimmick. But and then you are safe from the FMA, and you can proceed to the next part of the mechanics because there is more. All right. So after you dodge, everyone in your party dodges the FMA attack. These eyes are going to appear in the center of both rooms, and your party is going to be split into half of the party on one side and half or on the other. Whenever you attack this eye with a common attack, it's going to spawn meteors on the other side. You can spawn meteors on the purple side by attacking the blue side or vice versa. Here. So if you attack on the purple side, these meteors are going to spawn and start raining on the blue side. Your goal is to catch the golden meteor. So when you catch the golden meteor, it's going to form a golden shield around this eye. Here, you catch the golden meteor, the shield forms, and then you have to stay inside this shield. Because after a few seconds, another FMA is going to play, just like happened before. And the only safe spot is inside the golden shield. So here, the safe spots are marked in this red square. So this FMA is going to play in both rooms, so you have to catch the golden meteor. So right here, if you pass the test, the HP bar is going to unlock, and then you can damage Will again until you go to the next HP bar threshold, and you have to play the test again. So if you succeed, you have to play the test 3 times. Sorry? What? Someone talked? I heard something. Okay, sorry. What was saying? Oh, here. So if you pass the test, it's going to unlock the HP bar. But if you fail the test, what is failing? It means someone died in the test. So if only one person dies during the test, either to the FMA or external sources of damage, you are going to fail the test. So we will recover from the test, and then he's going to heal a part of his HP, and the bar is going to be locked too. So you have to damage him again and play the first test again. This goes on until you clear the test, so you can proceed. So this is why a party test is so important, because you have to clear as a whole party so you can proceed through this lock here. If you succeed, Will is going to be stunned for 10 seconds, and then you can rush to deal damage to him. So if your party is strong enough, you can straight away send him from test 1 to test 2, and then from 2 to 3, depending on your BPS. So to recap what's going on, the eye, whenever you reach the HP threshold, the eye appears, and then you go to the eye for the safe spot. The FMA attack happens, and then the party is split. Attack the eye in the middle, the other side catches the golden meteor, the shield forms, you stay inside. So this is basically a communication challenge. If you see something, you say something. Be like Miss Alexis Michel. Don't let your party die, otherwise you can proceed the mechanics. So this is the HP lock threshold. Let's talk about the time lock. So this mechanic of finding the eye also happens every 15 seconds. The first one happens at 20, 28, and 45. And then after that, every 15 seconds. Sometimes the server lags, so it takes a bit more than that. But whenever this time test happens, you have to find the safe spot so you don't die. And the Will is going to heal his HP to the maximum amount he has. So if blue has less HP than purple, after this test, he heals blue to the amount of purple has, right here. So you have to damage both sides equally through the fight, so you avoid the healing during the whole fight. So this is basically how you play the tests on P1. Let's talk about normal attacks now. So these attacks, the legs from Miss Naomi's mouse, are going to be appearing through the whole fight. They appear on the 3 phases. You have to learn the patterns and how to dodge. So the legs are never they are randomly, or they don't appear randomly. They have certain patterns, but they never hit the same spot twice. After if the leg appears on some part of the map, you can go there because it's a safe spot for a few seconds. They keep appearing through the whole fight. You have to. Will is the kind of fight you can really avoid taking damage. There's a lot of things going on. You have to deal with this, with the test, and with Will himself attacking. So it's best to use auto recovery pets. So you don't waste time dealing with this map attacks here. So my tip is to completely ignore these attacks in a way that you don't have to pay attention to them. You must focus on the test and some of the Will attacks. So this is the Beholder. It's going to appear in some parts of the map, and then they're going to shoot 5 of these balls in these directions right here. So if you get hit by these balls, they are going to reduce your gauge. And whenever your gauge, you get hit, the gauge stops recovering for a few seconds. So in order to change runes, you have to avoid taking damage for a while. Also, whenever you change runes in P1, you get invulnerability for 2 or 3 seconds. I don't remember now. I think it's 3 seconds. So it's a good way to avoid some damage from some sources that we're going to talk about now. So here, these are the 3 major attacks that we'll be doing on both sides. These both attacks here are very telegraphed. They either it's a normal attack that's not going to do any kind of knockback, and this one on below is going to push you and give you reverse keys for 5 seconds. They don't do that much damage. They are just annoying. The real problem with Will is this animation here. He's going to cast his tornado, summon this tornado, and cast it following through the map. This tornado hits for 19% of your HP, so without the shipping damage coming from the other sources, this is probably going to kill you. So you either iframe, teleport through, or you change maps whenever you see Will casting this skill. So one common strategy is keeping Will in the middle, so you always have space to go to his back, so you can avoid his attacks. So the tell for this attack, he's going to do the anime glasses move. He's going to put his hand on his glasses and then cast the tornado. that's it for P1. Since the phases are kind of complicated, I don't want to, P2 especially, I don't want to overwhelm without explanation for all three phases. So we are going to go now to practice. We practice P1, and then we come back for explanation on P2, and then we go back for practice on P2 and P3, and so goes on. So let's meet at channel 5 on the wheel entrance. I will be waiting for you, and I will switch my Discord to here. My sharing to my MapleStory. Oops, sorry, I closed. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Who is here? Who is here? Hey, Rui. Hui. Here. Let's go. Hello. Who else is coming? Come play with us. So let's talk through VC right now. Oh, come play with us. What's wrong with that? Girl.
What did I do?
Oh, that's not. So anyone else is coming? Please let us know in the guild chat or in the Discord chat.
Well,
That's okay. Let's just
Well,
we can have folks join for P2 and P3. We can go ahead and demo
Yeah.
this pretty fast.
okay. So let's give me your R's, please.
We can likely do maybe like 1 or 2 tests just so people can see, because we'll be having to do this a few times for
Yeah.
P2 and P3.
Okay, going hard mode. Also, a difference for hard mode and normal mode is just the amount of HP he has and the damage he does. There's no major mechanics. So we just enter the fight. You can see right here, I have my gauge. I'm moving here around. So it's going to fill, and then whenever it fills enough, this icon here is going to light up. And then I can change runes by pressing my interact key. So let's change runes. Here, I press, I change to blue rune. So the map is attacking, Will is attacking too. So the general strategy here is that we have to keep him in the middle, and then we can avoid his attacks. He's constantly teleporting, so here's the tornado. That's the most dangerous attack. So you either keep going back and forth or keep him in the middle, and then whenever here, and then whenever he casts a tornado, you either go behind him or you change maps. So you go back to the other one. So it's blue.
it's test.
Yep. So we just did a test. The lock appeared. We reached the HP threshold, and then
Your summon is still.
who is in here? Oh, sorry. Sid, can you attack the?
No, we're good. No, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just
Yeah,
a
so
demo
we can see
code.
the meteors. So Sid's in the other room. He just attacked, and then the meteor is going to spawn. And this is the mechanic. We passed because no one died, and then we executed it properly. So now we can deal damage again, and then go straight away to the next mechanic. So when we reach the HP threshold, this warning here appears. The eye is in this room, and then everyone changes to this room, and we are safe from the FMA. Now we have to, they either attack here. Since my summons are attacking, the meteors are spawning on the other side. So Sid attacked here, and then the meteors are going to spawn on this side. We don't have to both catch meteors on both sides. One side is just enough. And then we pass the test. Will is stunned right now. He's going to be stunned. And then we can attack him again. So clear one phase, then we change to phase 2. Sorry, to the purple side. And once again, when we get to HP threshold, the eye appears on one of the rooms. we change to this room if you are not in this room already, and we do the same mechanic again. Catch the golden meteor, don't touch the purple meteor, so you're going to deal HP damage to you. And then if you are outside of this HP shield here, this golden shield, you are going to die for the FMA, and then we are going to fail the test. Let me show you how it looks like when you fail. So someone died, I died here, and then Will is going to heal. Watch his HP bar. It's here. He healed for almost half of this bar, and then the HP is still locked, so we have to play the test again. So let's damage him a bit. Change sides. Then when we reach the HP threshold on both HP bars, the test starts again. So it's here. So if you are dead, you can stay dead because the test only counts for dying during the test. Doesn't count for dying before the test. If you stay dead, we can still pass the mechanic because he didn't really die during the test. He died before, so it doesn't count for the failing criteria. So here now we're going to pass the test. So he's going to be stunned, and then this is phase 1. We are done here. We're going to phase 2. So let's leave here real quick, and then we can go to the phase 2 explanation. So do we have any questions? Do we have any comments? Please let me know.
Ruby says, could you explain one more time about which room to go to whenever the test begins?
So like the way I usually do it is I look at the middle of the map. So if the eye is big and in the center, you want to be in that room. If you see like the two that spawn sort of like to the corner of that, and Andre could show like the pictures again. If there's two in the corners, then you do not want to be in that one. And something to note is that like it can like disappear for a flash second before like the test finishes. So you kind of want to pay attention to the HP bar at all times so that you're ready to like look at the map when test is occurring.
Yeah, it does not linger for the whole 5 seconds. Whenever you reach the HP threshold, the eye appears, and then after 1 or 2 seconds, it disappears. So you have to look for where it's going to appear before it appears. If you don't see anything, it's in the other room. If you see something in this moment, it's in the room you are currently in. All right, do we have any more questions? Okay, let's move on to phase 2. Here. So phase 2 changes the mechanics completely in a way that first we have the HP lock. You can use potions here, except for when you activate your gauge. So you are going to get chip damage a lot, and you have to dodge the map attacks so you can fill your gauge. And then you use your gauge. When you use your gauge, you can use potions for 2 to 3 seconds. So this is the main source of healing in P2. But you can bypass this restriction by using healing familiars. So let's talk about the main gimmick on the phase 2. So this is the arena you're going to fight on phase 2. So you can see here the ground looks like a mirror, and it is a mirror. This mirror right here, this line is the ground, it's where you're going to fight. And then Will is going to fight here too, but he's going to have a reflection on the mirror. And what the mirror is showing is always real. Sometimes what he shows on the ground, on his ground body, is not real. So he's like, he's a liar, so that's why Derek doesn't like him. So this basically means that some attacks are going to come from the sky and some attacks are going to come from the mirror itself. You have to dodge both, but wheel attacks are going to be different depending if you are seeing on the mirror or not. The legs are going to appear again, the beholders too, and then we have new mechanics to deal with right now. So the beholders here, the same stuff. Just remember, whenever you get hit by the beholders little balls, you're going to lose some gauge. So the main gimmick on the phase 2 is that we have to do 2 tests now. We have 2 HP lock bars, lock on the bars here. So this test is basically a hide and seek game. You have to either avoid the legs that are going to appear, or you have to get hit by the legs on purpose. So what's going on is that whenever you start the test, it's going to have this warning here, the Mirror of Lights reverses attacks. When the crack appears, face the attack. So Will is going to stop attacking. He's not going to do anything by himself. The beholders also stop to appear. And we're going to start having to deal with these legs that appear from the sky and from the mirror itself. So basically there are 2 patterns. If the mirror below is intact, it doesn't have any cracks, you have to avoid the legs. So if the mirror is still good, avoid. But if the mirror here are the safe spots on this example. So whenever the legs where the legs are not, you have to stay there to avoid getting hit. So getting hit by a leg during this test is going to take 19% of your HP. So if you take 2 legs, you die, and then the test fails. It's the same concept as the first test. You have to survive. Your whole party has to survive the test to remove the HP lock. So this is the first pattern, and sometimes the ground is going to crack, just like here. Here. This is a cracked ground. You can see here it's shattered. And then when the ground is shattered, you have to get hit on purpose from the legs, because the legs are the safe spot. He's lying to you right now. He is like India. Sorry, I forgot her name for a second. So here you have to tank the legs, because there are the safe spots. If you are outside of where the leg appears, you are going to get 19% damage and then probably going to die. So basically, this test is going to happen in cycles. So we have 5 cycles, and each cycle has 3 legs each, 3 sets of legs. So this means that it's going to spawn the first set of legs, and then they disappear. And the next set of legs appear, and then you either dodge or tank them, and then they disappear, and then the third final set of legs. Whenever you reach a final, the third leg of this cycle, the ground either changes or stays the same. So you have to adapt for the next 3 legs cycles of legs. So here is an example. So the test starts, and then the ground is normal. So we have to go to the
left corner.
Left corner, thank you. Because the left corner is a safe spot for this intact ground. So the first set of legs appear, then they disappear. Then the second appears, disappear, and then the third one appears or disappears. After that, either it's going to have to dodge 3 times. Then either it's going to be another set of 3 legs on an intact ground, or after the third leg, the ground is going to change. It's going to crack. So you have to pay attention. If you see the ground is still intact, you have to dodge again for 3 times, and then repeat. The ground either changes or cracks after 3 legs, or if it's cracked now, the next 3 sets of legs, you have to get hit. And then after the third set of legs, the ground either stay cracked or resets to intact one. So this is going to repeat 5 times during this test, and if you survive 5 waves of legs, you are going to pass the test. So here are a few tips for when dodging the normal part of the test. You just have to stay in the left corner and then you never get hit. But the crack ground is what gives people the most problem. So this is a pattern that I took from this video here. You can access the link later. So basically, the legs are not appearing randomly. They have a pattern to appear. So this is the left corner, and then whenever the first leg appears, it's going to appear in this region right here. And then you get hit on purpose to avoid damage. A leg disappears. And then the second leg is going to appear in this area right here. And the third one right here. So basically, after each set of legs, you have to walk a bit forward, and then you can stay where the leg is going to appear before the indicator appears that the leg is going to hit there. So you do the 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then you go back to 1 if the ground's cracked again. Here's the demonstration. So the first, the ground's cracked right here. The first leg appears on the spot 1, and then he's already there waiting for the leg before he even appears. And then he moves to spot 2 before the leg appears, after the first leg disappeared, because he knows he's going to spawn here. And then you move to the third spot for the same logic. And then he goes back to the first spot and repeats because the ground's cracked again. This is like a cheese thread, so you can always pass this test, so you don't have to react to the test. My tip is avoid panic. You have a lot of time to move around between the legs. You can walk. Avoid using flash jumps or mobility that can throw you way too far, or weird jumps or teleports or something. Just walk. You have time. You need to predict where the legs are going to appear, not to react to them. So for normal attacks, Will is going to have his main body on the ground and his reflection on the mirror. And then he's going to execute some attacks. These are the basic attacks. He's going to attack and cause only those damage. This one is more complicated because he's going to knock back you. And this also reverse keys. And there's this one that's going to throw you to the edge of the map. This is going to play an important role later, because he's going to use some attacks that summon 2 spider webs on both sides that will kill you. So you have to avoid these knockback attacks, because even if the attack itself doesn't kill you, it's going to throw you into an instant kill web on the corner of the map. But sometimes Will is going to deceive you because he's a liar. So his main body here is doing an attack to the left, but his reflection is going to the one attack to the right. The reflection is the true one. This is called a fake out attack. So basically, he's going to deceive you, and you have to pay attention to his reflection right here. If you are on this left side above the ground, you are safe. But if you are on the right side, you are going to get hit by his attack. So this is basically a trap card by Miss Stingery here. So you have to be careful because you can't heal in this phase, remember. You have limited opportunities to heal. And this is one of the reasons this phase is annoying and difficult. I'm super glad we have healing familiars to deal with this phase. Remember that you can also heal your teammates with your party, with your familiars. So the same attack, but he's going to attack to the other side. Whoop, here. And then he's going to, sometimes he summons these webs on the left and the right corners. And then he's going to try knocking you back to the webs. If you touch these webs, you're going to die instantly. I'm not sure if it is instantly. I think it's 90% HP. But since you are going to get shipped all the time by the legs and the beholders and the Will himself, you are always going to, most of the time, you're going to have HP below the kill threshold. So this is the most common way of dying in this phase. He knocks you back to the webs, and then you die instantly. Also, he has some other attacks like this dash. He disappears, his reflection dashes forward, and then he moves position on the map. Also, this like spider bomb, or he summons a spider just below him. The spider will not appear on the ground, only on the reflection. It goes until it finds someone, and then it explodes, and deals a lot of damage. And then let's practice. Do you want me to go straight away? I'm not sure if anyone wants to practice P2. I can explain P3 too, either now. How about that? Let me know, please, in the chat.
I think we can likely do P2 and P3 together. Those take a bit of time to get to, so we can review P3, like the attacks first, and then do a set of practice for P2 and P3 for those who are interested.
Okay. So let's talk about P3 then. It's connected from the game, just coming back, sorry. ADC. So let's talk about P3 now. If you clear both tests on P2, you are good to go. And then we are going to go to P3. This is the P3 arena. We're going to fight Will. And the main gimmick in this phase is that these webs are going to spawn around the map and then keep appearing through the fight until the whole map is covered. Whenever you touch these webs, you are going to get skill locked and lose some HP. So the main mechanic you have to do here is clearing these webs using your gauge. Whenever you have gauge, you press the interact button. And, oh, sorry?
No, nothing. Sorry.
Okay. You press your interact key, and then for the next 2 seconds, when you touch on one web, it's going to break. So you can break up to 2 webs per use of this gauge, and then you have to keep cleansing the webs before they take up the whole map, which is called being webbed out. In a full party, it's not a real problem, but for smaller parties, it's going to be, or soloing even, it's going to be a huge problem because essentially you have a time running for clearing this boss before he webs you out. Here. So this is the main gimmick. You have to keep dodging Will and his attacks and clearing the webs whenever you have time or gauge. For Will himself, he's going to have these 2 main attacks that causes the most problems for everyone. So basically, this is a huge FMA attack that behaves differently depending on how his animation is going to play. So on the left, we have this animation, so pay attention to the color of his eyes. They are orange, and you can see all 3 of them. And then he has 2 legs. And then on the right, we have Will raising just 1 leg, and then you can see just a fraction of his eyes, and his eyes are white. So both of these are dangerous attacks. They are going to instantly kill you, and you have to play the mechanics for progressing the fight. So what do they do? So let's go to the first one. So when he does the orange eyes, when he hits the ground, he is going to spawn all of these spikes that instantly kill you in all the map except for where you are standing. So when he raises his legs, 2 legs, and his eyes are bright orange, you have to stay still. This is going to be your safe spot. So stay there. And whenever the white eyes are going to be contrary to the orange eyes. If he raises 1 leg and then his eyes are white, he's going to spawn a spike just below where you are. Just only 1 spike immediately below where you are. So I'm here in this picture, and then the spike is going to appear around here with a huge hitbox. Oops, here. So with a huge hitbox, that's going to instantly kill me. So how do I dodge this? I have to move. Girl, you gotta go. Get up there. So this is just show us successful dodge. So he is going to attack with white eyes here, and then this spike is going to appear just below me. So what do I do? I teleport. So I get out of there. I teleport, and then the spike appears whenever where I was standing. So I'm standing in a different place now, and then I avoid the spike here so I don't die. So each class dodges differently. Teleports are the hardest ones because you have to factor in your latency for teleporting. Flash jump classes, I'm not sure how exactly they do. Teleport is, oh sorry, they avoid this attack. I heard a lot of people talking about different strategies. You just have to get used on how your character moves. So you have to be moving when he hits the ground. You can't wait until he hits the ground to start moving. You have to be already moving because it's going to appear immediately below where you are standing, not where you are going. So these attacks, they have both a 15 seconds cooldown and they cycle between each other. So the first attack after entering the boss, you are not going to know which one it is. If he does the orange first, the next one is always going to be the white one, and then goes back to orange, white, white. So your party can communicate like stay now, and then after the attack is gone, you mentally prepare by saying move next. And then the attack happens, everyone moves, and then you say to the party next stay. So we keep cycling through these attacks. These attacks are going to change the order when you bind him. So if you bind him, 15 seconds are going to pass between the attacks, and then they will have both off cooldown. So he can cast whenever one of these, and then the cycle starts again. If he casts white first, next is move. If he casts stay first, and then the next is if he casts move first, the next stay. If he casts stay first, next is move. So we have to keep cycling between this while dodging the rest of his mechanics. Also, some attacks that he does on his face here. There are basically 3 attacks. The first attack, these animations will play. If he attacks instantly after turning a spider, it's going to be a normal attack. And if he lingers for a bit, like he holds his arm here for a while, it's going to be a knockback attack. They have the same animation, just the amount of time he's holding his hand above his head. He's like above his head. So remember that the spider webs are around the map, and he's going to throw you at the webs. The webs are going to skill lock you, and then he is probably going to cast either orange or white after throwing you in the webs. Also, one more attack he has is this poison cloud. He's going to poison one person in the party, and this person has to go away from the others because he's going to have this aura here that poisons everyone around, deals a lot of damage. And this person right here with the poison is going to have a final damage increase. So what the strategy for P3 is waiting for Will to cast the poison cloud on someone, and then this person bursts the boss because it's going to have more damage than usual. It's a lot of more damage. And if you die, if you have this aura, if you die, the aura passes to someone else and resets the duration, and you leave a poison cloud on the ground where you died. That stays there for a while and blocks the passage. I mean, it doesn't block completely, it just deals a lot of damage, so you have to avoid this place. So if this phase doesn't have a test by itself, doesn't have HP logs, and then if you kill him, then you are done with this boss. So the drops are missiles, a bit more than Lucid. Lucid was 400, we win a million. Here we have 441 million. We have Wheel Soul Shards, and then the Cobweb Droplet Stones for exchanging for arcane gear equipment through the coins. And then we have also this node stone here that unlocks the will skill that summons the eye that keeps. You gain this skill by completing the Sphera storyline quest. So you can increase the level of this skill by using these nodes. For equipment, we have also the same Oz ring boxes that we talked about on Tuesday for Lucid. Also, it's going to drop one random ring that can be one of those that we mentioned earlier. The Oz rings, ring of restraint, continuous ring, or weapon jump ring. So they drop from these boxes. Twilight Mark, sometimes these bosses drop arcane boxes, and the Peach boss set is going to curse Spellbook, which goes in the pocket item. That's going to replace the Pink Bean Cup. So congratulations, you cleared Wheel. So let's go ahead and practice P2 and P3. Everyone's welcome. Please come. Let me change my screen to Maple Story again. If anyone has any questions or comments, please let me know. Can you see my game?
No.
Nope. Oops.
I'll also share screen.
We'll record Andres so that we have a consistent.
Let me close my stream and try again. It's not changing for some reason. Alright, should be good now.
Good now.
Okay. Anyone's coming, please let us know. Come practice. So let me invite both of you. 10:05.
Oops, sorry, I'm in a party.
Oh. So let me show you how the healing themes look like. They have this line right here. So here, continually restores a large amount of HP to party members. So every few seconds, it's going to heal 15% HP for all of the party members. There's also the medium one that heals 10% and the small one that heals 5%. Also, there's this one that continually restores a large amount of HP and MP to nearby allies. This one's good too because some classes depend on MP to attack, like mages that drain their MP. And then if you are not attacking, your MP goes to 0, and then you either die to recover your MP, or you have to use your Moonlight. Buff check, heal them. So let's go.
Also, small tidbit
Go.
for anyone who is looking for FAMs, you can get party healing. It's small party healing, it's 5% healing, but it's still something.
Yeah, also they stack.
On rare FAMs, you do not need to like farm epics and uniques for healing FAMs. Those are just for the better ones.
Alright, going practice hard mode in 3, 2, 1. So let's review phase 1. We have to look for the eye when the test starts to avoid, to go to the safe spot and avoid the FMA. Chip. So it's on the blue side, here.
Oops, going the wrong way.
FMA appears. We catch the golden meteor. and then we wait. We're safe.
Also notice the callouts that I am doing in a text, like in-game text. If you guys do not have VC, it's always good to do any of these sorts of callouts in case the party doesn't pay attention. You can tell them which room is the safe room. So in last case it was blue, so I said blue. And then I said good whenever we finish catching the yellow ball.
So I don't see the eye immediately, so it's on the other room.
Blue. Blue, blue, blue. Was it blue?
Yeah.
It ate our door, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see you on the purple side. Oh, you can iframe the
Yeah.
death of me.
It counts as a death. So essentially, as long as you don't die, you should be safe. You can iframe it if you have a longer duration iframe. Nice.
Blue.
Blue. We're good.
So essentially, phase 1 is done. What most people do here is changing familiars now. I had boss damage familiars. I'm going to swap to healing femmes, and then I summon them again. And then normally we wait to attack before phasing him, so we have time to resummon our femmes. And then whenever everyone is ready, we can go on.
Let's slow a bit on damage for P2 and P3 so that everybody can get a good demonstration of those two phases.
Yeah. So here's the gauge. He immediately summoned the webs on the sides. Let me touch one web. So I die instantly. So basically he's going to try throwing you at the web, so you die most of the time. So notice he's going to have a different set of animations for... so here, he just did a fake out. He attacked differently on both sides. And then here again, he did a fake out and tried to throw me into the webs. So notice here my usable are locked. Here I have an icon above myself, and my item here is grayed out. And then when I press my interact key, I can use potions again for some time. Are my few femmes on? Yep. So we are healing through the femmes. The beholders are still attacking. And then remember the legs can't attack twice on the same spot. So here, they appear on the left corner. They are not going to appear in the left corner again for a while.
Tussin, get ready.
So, crack, get hit. 1, 2, 3. Watch the ground.
Crack,
Still crack. 1, 2, 3. Watch the ground.
Crack.
Still crack. 1, 2, 3. Still cracked. 1, 2, 3. Oh,
Oh my god.
still cracked.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So this is just for these legs are going to be server side. So you have to don't follow others. You have to avoid them on your screen. So let's see some more of his animations. Let me see. Here. The dash. The fake out, he turned around to knock back us. So let's phase him and show him the test.
And just of note, because of the web mechanic, it's kind of good to play around the middle so that you're not too close to the webs.
Yeah. So the 2, 3 we have to avoid. Still 1, 2, 3. Intact, avoid. 1, 2, 3. Watch the ground. Still intact. 1, 2, 3. Watch the ground. Still intact.
These patterns are crazy.
Yeah, these patterns are the extreme opposites.
It's not like
It's,
this.
yeah, it's very
Double
likely
spin.
that will not happen.
So, do you guys see?
So usually,
Zero.
like the areas that you kind of want to start at is like here if there's a crack. And I think we mentioned it earlier, but once you do your first cycle of 3 spikes or legs, you want to start walking back to the left, just so that's easier to adjust whether it's a crack or not. So if it's a crack, I just keep walking until I get back to like the reset spot. If it's not a crack, I can easily just flash jump because there's still enough time to dodge the spikes.
The reason why we're stalling is just, this is supposed to be a demonstration of waiting for bursts. So sometimes our bursts don't entirely align. Sometimes we're waiting for 3 minutes. Some people have like some random 4-minute buffs. So what we're doing right now is because there's 0.4% HP left, we're just waiting until everyone is about ready. If you all want to say ready to phase, we can type R. So I'm ready.
Already too.
Sid, you good?
Yep.
Okay, and then we can attack to make sure that we phase. Make sure that all of your buff skills and burst skills are off cooldown going into V3. It is a very integral part of the fight because you don't want to get webbed out. You want to be in there as with the you want to be out of there as fast as possible.
So here's my gauge. The webs appear around here, and he poisoned me. So this means I'm going to do more damage. The first one is move. I was Q locked. I could not teleport around. So this is why it's dangerous to get hit by the webs. So next one is stay. So we just stayed. Next time it's going to be move. So try to stay on his back. Move. Here, I teleported wrong. I took too long to teleport, so it appeared just below me. So here we stay. Next one's move. Let's cleanse some webs. Poison again on me.
I'm also sharing screen as a flash jump class, just so you could see that as well.
So a web just appeared on top of me when was going to do his attack. So I was Q locked to avoid the move part. Move. So I just dodge here. Stay. Next move. Poison is on Hui.
Move.
Move.
And with the poison, do you guys see how I'm staying on one side? I don't want to give my party members damage over time, so I'm just staying in my own little corner. Move.
Move.
Stay.
Stay.
Poison mid on Sid. Move.
Move. I was Q locked again.
Stay.
Stay.
It just takes a bit of getting used to the timings. This really is one of those, you just have to experience P3 to really understand the timings and whatnot. Very easy fight.
Stay.
Yeah, I like the timing that I like to use is just when the legs are all the way pulled back. That's usually what I go off of.
Poison right on me. Move.
Move. Oh.
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
teleport too early. Also, there are some tricks some people do. If you are in the air when the move part hits, the spike is going to spawn in the air. Some people use this to dodge. Oh, skill locked again. So some people are going to use this to dodge the move part. So next one I'm going to show you. When he casts move.
Wasn't right on me.
Oh, I died because I timed wrong. But the spike appeared on the air instead of the ground. So if you time correctly, the spike appears on the air, and then while it's still on the ground, you can avoid it.
That's okay. I think for the most part, we pretty much showed all of the attacks in here.
The way I like to approach this phase is, and this is coming from my perspective as a class with dash and flash jump. I like to stay around Will, and whenever he's like a small spider, I tend to just go behind where he's facing so that I avoid any of the knockback and reverse skills. And then whenever it's like the big spider and I'm looking out for like the orange or white eyes, that's like when I'm going to do either the jump or stay thing that we've been talking about the whole time. And my timing is when the legs are pulled all the way back, that's when he's about to go down. So if it's a white eye, that's where I start to flash jump.
Give me your arms when you're ready. You ready? You don't have to swap. There's nothing that actually draws in here. And voila! That's Will.
Oh,
Does anyone have any final questions about the fight?
oh, someone's mic is up. So any questions? Someone wants to practice?
Please let us know. Okay. If not, I think that should be it. Thank you so much, Andre. That was very comprehensive.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to shoot them in Maple questions. And if you want some practice, let any of the juniors or any of us know, and we can always coordinate some time to get you guys to P2 or P3 in practice. Otherwise, we will see you guys next Tuesday for class. Same time. See you all at reset on Tuesday. Stopping the recording.